Our next team is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and look, the question for them is the same as ever: is how big of an upgrade can they make to their wing rotation without a first round pick to deal? And then it's also how all in are they willing to go on that wing acquisition? To where would you give up Isaac Okoro, who's been playing well, to
Yeah.
improve your wing um, rotation? Spoiler alert: people were not happy in Cleveland with the trade that I proposed for this, even though I thought it was fair. You also have Karis LeVert sitting here. And so I go back and forth as to whether, like, if they wanted to take a swing and you include Karis LeVert and Isaac Okoro, what does that get you? Or even if you're just dangling Isaac Okoro out there, or can you just go out and get a Josh Richardson or Jalen McDaniels without giving up any of like Karis LeVert or Isaac Okoro? Is that the route that they go? Do they think even smaller time where it's just, the Bucks are looking for a home because they're trying to complete the 6-for-1 to get Jay Crowder and then you get home for Wesley Matthews? Is like, do the Cavaliers just say, yeah, like he's just like kind of this wingish body who's 80 years old, but we'll take him. What route do you see them going here?
I think I keep coming back to Levert. Like I totally get the Okoro, the hesitation for moving Okoro. Even if he, was disappointing, like unequivocally based on his draft slot, and looks like there's a player there now, or at least lately. So if you want to hang on to him somehow, I guess, that'd be great. And it would be even better if he were good enough that this was not the constant topic of how do we get a guy that can fill the gap between Garland, Mitchell, and then Mobley, Allen. Like, who's that fifth guy? It'd be great if it were Okoro. So, and maybe it still will be. I don't know. But Levert is the guy that just seems superfluous to me. I don't like his fit in the starting lineup just because he provides principally what they don't need as another shot creator, on ball guy. That he can do other things, but that's the main thing he's out there for. And I just don't put a huge value on him doing that for second units or with one or the other of Mitchell and Garland. So I think he's the guy that I would be looking most to move. I just like, what does every other team view him that way? Because I think we're past the point where a team would say, "Oh, Levert is a guy that we're going to start at the 2, just full stop," and he's going to be, like, I don't know that his value is at that level anymore. So then Okoro almost has to come back into it, because then he puts you in play with teams that want a second draft guy or a high upside guy, rookie scale contract, like that kind of thing. So I'm looking at Gary Trent, obviously, not to jump too far ahead, but someone like that. I don't know if he's quite big enough, honestly. I think I want, like, ideally I want 6'7", 6'8" with length to be at that 3 spot.
You need to calm down. Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are there. It's fine.
Right. That's the thing. I'm saying ideally, but Trent is the type, right? I think he's going to make shots. He's disruptive defensively. He's always gotten a lot of steals. Like that works. That works for me. I just, Levert and some other stuff is, and plenty of other stuff, I think is what it would take to get that done.
The other thing that might complicate this, and I don't even know if this was supposed to be off the record or not, so I'll just make it off the record. But apparently, I don't know if this was a public quote or if this is something I was told off the record, that Levert is willing to accept a pay cut to stay in Cleveland. And it's like that complicates it a little bit, where if you think you could get him cheaper just to have him as sort of like and he has not been terrible this season by
No,
any stretch.
no.
So like I still think they need to make a wing addition, but that's going to factor into the calculus, which my trade idea for the Cavs, which again was roundly rejected by a few people in Cleveland, was Kem Birch and Gary Trent Jr. for Karis LeVert, Isaac Okoro, and a Denver's 2026 second round pick. If you could get back a not Kem Birch in that deal, like a different smaller salary, I just viewed it as like, if you're not giving up a tangible first round pick, like that's what you would need to do to get Gary Trent Jr. Maybe you could even complete this deal without Karis LeVert, step ladder your way there with Jetty Osman, Dylan Windler, and Isaac Okoro, I believe, get you there. Would that make it more likely? You're not getting Gary Trent Jr., though, to Cleveland without giving up Isaac Okoro. That would just be, and he's been hitting his threes, but it's not, look, he's fooled me like 8 times before. I'm not going to let it happen a 9th time. I don't see it translating to the playoffs. I think that he will be an offensive detriment to them. I think you can already look, and teams are not guarding him. That is going to make life tougher on other players, even if he is hitting his wide open threes, because he's not going to take 8 of them a game. So that would be my concern. I would move Isaac Okoro. Now, would I move him for Josh Richardson? Like I proposed that the Spurs should try and do that. I probably wouldn't, mostly because I think you get that deal done without including him. But like Isaac Okoro is just, I'm not out on him as an NBA player, but for what this team needs, I know he gives you so much defensive value when you're playing 2 smaller guards. you have Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Like there's a cushion there. And so I would move him for Gary Trent Jr.
I would add too that I know, I mean, he's on an expiring deal, which makes him similar to Trent in, well, slightly different because of the player option, but like similar in that regard. Like if I'm Toronto, I think Levert is a little closer to the type of player that I might want because that, like I just said, like his skill is as an on-ball shot
Yeah,
creator.
yeah.
Like I think that, you know, now if he would rather just stay in Cleveland and is not interested in re-signing, if he ends up in Toronto, that's a whole other thing. But, you know, I was asking almost rhetorically, like, who's looking for that? Actually, Toronto is looking for that. Toronto should want a player kind of like Karis LeVert, especially if you can get him, for a player in Trent that maybe is going to cost more or, doesn't quite fill that same niche.
Do you have anything else? There's situations like just kind of simple. Who is their most likely player to be traded? I had it as Karis LeVert, but I'm sort of wondering at this point, is it Jetty Osman?
Well, I think I was leaning LeVert. I guess I'll stay with LeVert, but
So
that's only on the assumption that they really are going to go address the small forward spot. But if it's like a smaller thing or they're going to take some other swings, there's a lot of options. Like Osman, yeah, 7 million this year, non-guarantee next year.
Windler at 4 million or whatever
Windler
he's at
for
right
even,
now.
yeah, like, well, Dean Wade's not going anywhere. Yeah, there's a couple other options, but I guess it's probably LeVert. And I just say that because I think Cleveland is good enough or should view itself as good enough to operate on we need to add somebody just now to see what we can do in these playoffs, I think.
I concur with you. That was a nice, easy team.
Yeah.